she wanted to attack me or somebody else. I went home crying, I don't know how many times in the first 2 years, seriously. At the beginning it was very hard for me to understand certain things. As a Brazilian, I am used to take everything very personally.
Hello you guys, how are y'all doing? My name is Hanchuk, and if you don't know me and my channel, we talk everything about how to build up an international career and become a better global citizen. Today is a very special day because I have a guest on my channel, Cristiana Carrilho from Brazil. She is my guest because we're doing the series about adjustment and how to adjust in a new country. If you're interested in learning more about how to build up an international career, how to better adjust in a new country, how to become a better global citizen, don't forget to hit up the subscribe button, the notifications bell, and the like for this video. Hello, Cris.
My name is Cristiana, you can call me Cris. I'm Brazilian, I live in Germany 11 years now, and I really like living in Germany. I have also a YouTube channel that I talk about life in Germany, my life in Germany. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here today and to talk to you guys.
One of the reasons why I decided to bring Cris here today is because she made such an impact for me. When I was preparing to move to Germany, she was one of the YouTube channels I used to binge watch every day to learn about everything about Germany, how things are different, what are the impressions a Brazilian has before moving to Germany, and so on. And this is a very important part for adjustment, right? So we were talking on the last video about adjustment, that we have different types of adjustment. So we have anticipatory adjustment, which happens before you move to a country, and then all of the other types which are during your stay abroad. So Cris, before you moved to Germany, did you do anything to prepare, or how come you moved to Germany in the first place?
Yes, I tried to prepare. I say tried because I didn't know what to expect. I never left my country. I mean, before moving here, I came here twice only to visit as a tourist, but I never have lived in another country, so I really didn't know what to expect. So I moved here because I was on a relationship, and then already 3 years apart, so we decided to get married and I moved to Germany. And before coming here, I started learning German and I made the A1 level in Brazil before I came. I also started listening to radio because you guys, you have to remember we are talking about 11 years ago. Nowadays we have YouTube, we have social media, we have Instagram, and you can follow people, you can watch people, you can hear the language more even if you're not in the country. But 11 years ago there was no YouTube, there was no social media, there was Skype and to talk to people from other countries, and that was it. So I started listening to radio because I could listen online, so to start to get used to the sound of the language.
Yeah, definitely. And those are already so many important points, right? So you visited the country before, you had an idea of what Germany was like, you started learning the language, you started getting in touch with the language, and we all know language is culture.
I'd like to say about the radio because I think that was very good for me to start to understand Germany, for example.
Okay, and so you talked about a lot about the language, right? So listening to the radio, taking German classes. How important would you say the language is for your adjustment in Germany? How, if you were to say from 1 to 10, how important was it?
11.
Why?
It's so many aspects that involves the language. It's not only being able to talk to people, which I wasn't, because A1 is super basic, but once you speak a language, you understand more. I don't know if you have the same impression, but once you learn a language, you kind of understand more the culture, the country, and how things works. Because I think language is not only about communicating, but it's how people express themselves and learning the different ways of saying things, not only learning the words. So I would say if you have the chance to learn German or whatever language you are, in whatever country you are, you definitely should learn, even if you don't need it to work or if you don't need it. Some people come to Germany and they don't need German to work. I work in English, for example, but it changes your understanding of the country.
It's so beautiful what you're saying, and I would say it's even deeper than how you express yourself. It's how you think. So you learn how, in the case of German, how Germans communicate, why they sometimes may be more direct than Brazilians, for example, and then you understand it better. I know it's 11 years ago, right? So it's not yesterday, and I totally understand if you can't remember, but can you remember if doing those things, like listening to the radio, learning a little bit of Germany, having been here a little bit before, would you say doing it helped you when you arrived here to stay for good?
Definitely helped with my pronunciation. A1 is very basic. No, you can't say you speak German if you speak A1. Learning how it sounds, it helped me to recognize, and it helped me to try to move my mouth and try to reproduce the sound. So I had the sound in my head before I really started learning. Of course I have an accent, but I would say I am pretty good with my pronunciation in German.
Yeah, so Cris also has videos in German in her channel. She absolutely nails it with German. So accents aren't bad. Accents can also be a good advantage for you because you have a conversation starter. You can say where you're from. People get interested in you. Criticizing yourself about your accent is something that's not gonna help you. So accept your accent. Did doing those things make you feel better when you moved to Germany? How did you feel when you first moved here? What was going on in your mind? What was going on in your heart?
I think for me it's very different than for many people. My first year in Germany was one of the best years in my entire life. It was a year that I really enjoyed. I went to German course. I made an intensive course, so I was going to school every day. I wasn't working in my first year. So I was really open to meet new people and learn. I was like, I want to see everything. I want to meet everybody. I want to do what they do. I want to really integrate. I was in this mindset and it was fantastic. I met a lot of people. I lived a lot of experiences and it was like a very happy year. Then the second year it hit me. I really live here. This is not vacation. Life is real.
Many people can think that, right? That you move to a new country and you have all of the shocks or cultural shocks right away. But actually it is pretty common to have this first phase in which you are really passionate about your new experience, excited about all of the new things that you're living and that you're really, really happy. And the first times tend to be the best times. Yes. And then after a year, the new things start to become common, right? So you know that this one thing that you didn't have in Brazil and that you have here and that you find awesome becomes normal. Yes. And then you start noticing, oh, I really miss about Brazil, and I really miss that other thing. And this here isn't good at all. I prefer the Brazilian way, to be honest. And it starts hitting later.
This is exactly what happened to me. Things started hitting later. First year was awesome. Then second year I started to pay attention. Actually, don't really like that part. For example, I didn't like that the Germans really don't dance in the parties. And they, like, if you have a birthday that is in somebody's home, in somebody's apartment, people really talk about work, about jobs, and how it's doing. And that I hated so much. Because it is a party and I don't want to talk about job. I don't want to talk about learning German. I don't want to talk about serious things. Let's just enjoy a party. Let's have a good music. And the music also, it hit me like, I don't really like this music. And I started celebrating my birthdays with Brazilian music and making my parties like the way I like. So I really love celebrating my birthday so I can actually make a party the way I like parties.
This is awesome what you're telling us, Chris. You know why? So the first reason is to understand what adjustment really is, right? People that are watching this video or that might be on my channel right now looking for how can I adapt in a new country, how can I adjust, they might have the expectation that they can control everything and that they can really prepare everything beforehand. Well, heads up, you can't. You have to be open to live those experiences. And not being adjusted yet, what does it mean? It doesn't mean that you're gonna have a unhappy and miserable life. No, it just means that you are in some situations going to feel like a fish out of water.
Yes.
Okay, I'm at a party and I want to dance and I can't dance the way I like to dance here right now. Or I want to talk about that gossip I heard from that girl on, last week. I don't want to talk about what I'm doing for a living. Makes you feel not as part of the group as you wished you would be. The second thing you told us, Chris, that's pretty interesting. You can do two things with adjustment. You can proactively or actively influence it. So what you did is awesome. You said, okay, I'm doing my Brazilian parties for my birthday and we're doing it this way. Okay, we're dancing, we're not talking about work, we're doing that stuff, actively changing your environment and thus also adjusting to it. And you can do it reactively. So at other parties, you understand, okay, maybe I do a little bit of small talk about work and we do the other stuff later, right?
Exactly. Yes, I think it's also about being creative and finding, because you're not gonna like everything here, but you also can be open to it. So as we are talking about parties, I live in Cologne, and Cologne has the biggest carnival in Germany. And I come from Brazil, and you may think, oh, Brazilians carnival in Cologne, Brazilians must love it. But the reality is that the carnival in Cologne is completely different from carnival in Brazil, and then first time I really didn't like it. But what I want to say is like, I started noticing that the songs are different, but what are the songs about? Not this carnival thing. No? And I started really paying attention to this carnival thing here in Cologne. They have their own language, that they have their own music, most of the music. That talks about the city, talks about the people from the city, is where you drink the beer from the city. It's a big celebration of the city of Cologne, on how beautiful it is, on how people here are nice. And I can't understand why people don't like it. If you like the city, if you like it here, you gotta love it, Carnival. So nowadays I'm like the biggest fan of cult Carnival, because it's a big celebration of this beautiful city. So I think if you also start paying attention what is around you, okay, you don't like this carnival here, but what is this carnival about? And then when I found out that this carnival is actually a big celebration of how cool this place is, I started loving, because I really love this place, and I think this is an amazing place, and I like celebrating the city.
Absolutely. This is amazing what you're saying. So everything about adjustment is about being open-minded and understanding what you want and finding compromises with what you can get and really living it. So beautiful story. This channel is about building up an international career, working abroad, and so on. So we had a lot of social adjustment right now. It's a part of it, very important. Otherwise, you're unhappy. But I want to learn a little bit about how was it for you at work? When did you start working in Germany? And how was it with the German colleagues at work? Did you have any conflicts?
My first job was in a museum. I studied tourism in Brazil, and I started working in a museum as a guided tour. At the beginning, I would do only Portuguese guided tours, and with the years I started doing English and German tours. I really liked that job. We were a very international group, so Germans, I had like the bosses, two bosses, and one or two colleagues that work. But that is a situation that I experienced with my boss. My boss is German, and Germans are very direct. At the beginning, it was very hard for me to understand certain things. For example, I remember one day I had to tell her I couldn't come. I was going to tell her, hey, listen, the day after tomorrow, I can't be here on time. For me, she was very rude, like super rude. We were always a little upset with her, the way she talked to us and how things were working there. And as a Brazilian, I am used to take everything very personally. No? And it took me a while to understand that I shouldn't take things personally. But I needed to ask and let her know. No? And she cut to me immediately like, I don't want to know what you have to do. I just want to know what time you're gonna be here. No? And that was so direct and so rude, and I was like super shocked because as a Brazilian I wanted to explain myself, what I had to do, what was going to happen, and why I had to come late. She didn't want that, no? She wanted to know what time you were gonna be here. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here at 3 p.m. Okay, that's all I need. You can go. It's super like cold, I would say. No? Years later, it took me around 2 years to really understand that that lady wasn't rude. I mean, to my eyes maybe, but she wasn't nothing that she said there was personally, or she wanted to attack me or somebody else. I went home crying I don't know how many times in the first 2 years, seriously, because she was so direct and in my eyes so rude, you know. And it took me years to really understand that it wasn't the case. I shouldn't take that personally. And then from the point I started not taking things personally, my relationship with her got 100% better. For me, this is a very big lesson that I took. Not take things personally, but it took me years. I'm not talking about months, I'm talking about years.
And you know what? I totally get that, because I come from the same country. We have the same culture, and I experienced the exact same thing. And the important thing is what you said is, in the first moment, we may perceive it, no? And adjustment and culture, it's all about perceptions, how we see things. We may perceive it as rude, we may perceive it as aggressive, but at the end, it can be a completely different message from the other person. So maybe your boss, she was thinking, no, you don't need to explain everything to me. I trust you. I just need to know this. Maybe this is the message in her mind, and she just says, no, I don't need to know that. You just tell me the hours you come, and then it's fine. Because she thinks, okay, I trust my employee and she's good to me. It's a very hard thing to change the switch so that we understand the messages correctly. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe she just says that because it's really like that and she doesn't mean it personally. It's really, really interesting to see that, and it's a very common point for Latin Americans moving to Germany or more kind of interpersonal cultures where you're really close, right?
Yes.
So you can change what others are saying, but you can totally and definitely change how you're affected by it, right?
Yes, I think this is the key. Nah? You cannot change how other people are or what other people do, but you can only change what you do about it and how you perceive things. Nah? So from the moment I understood, no, she is just this way, is the way she works. We really got to have a relationship. Nah? Like one day I was feeling super sick. She just paid the taxi for me to go home. Go home, I'll pay the taxi. You know, and she didn't have to do that. She doesn't have to pay my taxi to go home. Go home, you're gonna be faster. Nah? So when my life got a bit crazier and everything, she really gave me the support I needed. She gave me more hours, she gave me more money. Nah? Like we really built a relationship. I am forever grateful for her and her son. Nah? For everything they did to me, but the 2 first years were like a hell.
Yeah, I can imagine, and that is the situation. So I also had more or less the same experience as you. So in the social aspect, everything amazing, right? And then at work, when you actually have to function and people have to give direct feedback, you feel like, oh, that hurts me, that hurts my feelings. And afterwards you start understanding that this is the way that negative feedback is given. And we Brazilians will see cultural dimensions in this channel as well, but we tend to give more indirect negative feedback than direct negative feedback as well. So very interesting. Now we were quite negative. You had an amazing relationship with her and as well and so on, and that's great, but the topic was negative, right? So how you perceive and how it affects you. Let's be a little bit more positive. What are things you love about the German way of working? Maybe from your current employment, some examples, or even from that one at the museum.
My current employee is a German company. but we are also a very international team. I really love, I don't know if other companies are like this, but I have a lot of freedom in my job. I know what I have to do. I have my targets, but I don't have anybody reminding me, oh, you have your targets. How's it going? Are you halfway? So I really like this freedom and the trust that they put on us. So, but I don't know if every company is like this. I think I am just really lucky. I hope every company is like this, but can't say much about Germans because my direct boss is a woman from Spain.
And how is that for you, being in contact with so many different cultures in the previous job and this job? Does it change anything? Do you feel any difference? And if, how come?
Yes, working with the Chinese girl in the museum was super interesting to learn how she sees Germany, how she perceives things, how are things for her. And in my new job, we are a team of brand managers, and that is me, that is one German, and that is one girl from Colombia. And we have the same task. I work with Brazil, the Colombia work with Latin, the Spanish speaking countries in Latin America, and Germany. So I think it's interesting to see how the countries work because we have the same tasks. We need to do the same things, but the markets, they respond totally different to the same actions that we do.
Wow, this sounds so interesting. Come on, do you have an example on your tongue of something that reacted completely different in the three countries?
Right now, for example, we have a SEO software, and we have a free version. It's pretty new. So right now we are trying to get some newspapers and magazines to talk about the free version. Our job is to make this visible, and we received the orders. So how we are gonna do it? We're gonna write journalists, we're gonna write magazines and newspapers, and we're gonna send the PR note and everything. And that doesn't work in Brazil, and it works in Germany. For example, you can really get the contact of journalists from big newspapers. In Brazil, if you look for UOL, it's a big internet portal. You have no contacts there. Now you have not the name of the journalist. If you take a look at Folha de São Paulo, you have some people who write the columns, yes, but you can't have their contact. And all the other articles in the Folha de São Paulo, for example, there's no name who wrote that. So it's really difficult to get in touch with the Brazilians. Still trying to figure it out. As if for the Germans, it looks like it works very well. You can even call people, talk to them.
And how is it in the other Latin American countries, the Spanish-speaking ones?
Yes, it's kind of difficult too. She's not having success at the moment, like me, because it's the markets, they respond to totally different. Yeah, so we are trying to figure this out because now we are new on this. But yeah, so the Germans sometimes they work on very classical ways of doing things, like I don't know how to explain, but Germans are very old school in a lot of aspects. And having a PR note sending to the journalist, and the journalist will write about the application and everything. And in Brazil, the ones that got published, I had to write myself and make an exchange and things. And we have way more presence on YouTube, for example. There's a lot of people teaching digital marketing, online marketing on YouTube, and selling courses, because selling courses is a thing in Brazil. In Germany, we really need to change, and we are already doing this.
It's very interesting to work with different cultures and see how differently then they respond, right?
Yes, totally. And now we have a colleague that is trying to do the same in the US. We are all trying to figure this out. If you have some ideas, because I have never done PR before. It's the first time they put me in the project. It's challenging because we have like how the Germans do it, but how the Germans do it is not working. So.
You know, you might think I'm crazy, but I think one way for you to do it is through LinkedIn, okay? We can totally talk about it afterwards.
I am doing that on LinkedIn, but when they see I live in Germany, they started talking about life in Germany and asking me about that. And we don't develop to the business. I'm trying to get to the point.
Okay. Maybe we talk about that afterwards, but I think that totally is a way. After 11 years in Germany, 11 years abroad, do you have any advice for anyone who's planning to move abroad now?
Open your heart, open your mind, try to get the best out of it.
And enjoy, right?
Yes, enjoy.
So nice to have you here, Cris.
But really, I am very happy to be here. This is a little bit of my experience. If you can get something out of it, I'm happy. Now try to put that into your experience. Everybody has a different experience, but open your mind, open your heart, try to enjoy it, and be creative to find ways to enjoy things, even if it's not exactly the way you want them to be.
Yeah, so beautiful message. So guys, if you liked today's video talking a little bit about Chris's adjustment in Germany, her experience here at work, how communication is different between various countries, come on, there's so many different topics. We can maybe do a second video about one of those topics, so leave a comment saying which one of those interests you the most, and leave a like to this video because we really have here hands-on, the real experience of moving abroad. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, leave a like, subscribe to this channel, go to Chris's channel if you speak Portuguese, follow us on Instagram, and I'll see you around.
See you!